In this video, you're going to learn everything you need to know to be a React Native developer. In this app, we're going to build a fully functioning note-taking app. You're going to learn things like navigation, how to set up push notifications, how to create different screens, how to go between those screens. You'll learn all the different elements, components that you need to know about. By the end of this course, you should know everything you need to be a React Native developer. If you'd like to see how this turns out, I put a link in the description below. I went ahead and made some improvements to the app we're going to be building in this video, and I published it to the Apple and the Google App Stores. It's a great way to support the channel if you really like this content and you want me to make more. Before we get started, if you like videos about React Native, Expo, Flutter, things like that, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon. We come out with videos all the time, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so some prerequisites for React Native is you should already know React, have a general idea of how React works, how JavaScript works. And if you're already using React, you should have already downloaded Node.js. But if you haven't, I've put the link in the description below. You'll need to make sure to download Node.js for whichever operating system you're using. I'm using a Mac, so in this tutorial, we'll be going through this as if we're using a Mac. But if you're using a Windows, you'll just need to use all the terminal commands for a Windows computer. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and so I've already installed Bash, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next part. So I have my terminal here. I'm actually going to move it over here. And the next part that you'll want to do is I'm going to put this link in the description below too. You'll want to go to reactnative.dev/docs/environment setup. If you do just go to the website, you could just go to the website and go to guide. And then there's this environment setup right here. You can skip the basics, move on to environment setup. And that's where we're at right now. We're at the environment setup. The first thing you'll want to do is install Expo on your computer globally. Expo is a set of tools built around React Native. It just makes React Native development so much simpler. If you read the instructions, it says with Expo, up here it says with Expo, you can be up and running in minutes. If you use this one over here, React Native CLI Quick Start, they say it could take about an hour, a whole hour before you can get running. So I love Expo. I think Expo is great. So for this video, we're going to use Expo. It makes life just so much simpler. If you've never used React Native before, you'll want to use Expo. It's really great. So that's what I'm going to do. So you'll want to go ahead and copy this. Open up a terminal, just in your terminal. Go ahead and paste that in there. It doesn't matter where you're at the time because this is a global install. So I'm going to go ahead and install that. And while that's installing, I'll show what we're going to do next. The way you create a React Native project using Expo is you'll in your terminal, you go to the directory that you want to go to, and then you create it saying Expo in it, whatever you want the name to be. But we'll get that in a second. All right, so this had a bunch of errors. If you see this in a Mac or in a Windows computer, it means you need to use like an administrative override. So for Mac, you would say sudo. Paste that in again, and then I have to put in my computer password here. I'm putting it in right now. You can't see it because it keeps it hidden, so people can't see it. But if you get all these errors here, you'll want to make sure if you're on a Mac to say sudo. Try it again. If you're on Windows, it's some other term. You'll have to look up sudo for Windows. I'm not quite sure what that is. I think it has to do with admin or something like that, but you'll want to look that up. This is what it should like when this is what it should look like when it successfully installs. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and for Mac, you could say CD to CD into wherever you want to go. On mine, I have, oops. Okay, I have documents. Inside of my documents folder, I have something called React Native Apps. This is where I want to go. If you want to see what's within the terminal, you can say, or sorry, if you want to see what's within the document, you can just say ls to see what's in there. I'm going to do that just to make sure I don't use a name I've used already. And we'll go ahead and get back to this expo init. So expo init is how you would create whatever you want to call this. I'm going to call this thinking. So I've used in tutorial already. So I'll just say native, or I'll say React. Well, let me make sure I don't have that. Okay. All right. It doesn't look like I do. Okay. React Native tutorial, but you can name this whatever you want. So whenever this pulls up, you can just go ahead and click blank for a blank canvas. This is using JavaScript, traditional JavaScript. If you want to use TypeScript, you can go down to blank TypeScript. But for this tutorial, we're just going to say the blank option. All right, and this is creating your React Native project. This is all we'll need from this page. And then we can go ahead and get into the code. All right, so I'm going to CD into React Native tutorial. And I'll ls to see, okay, everything's in there correctly. If you're using Visual Studio, you can just say code dot. If you've installed this ability, you could say code dot to open it. And I'm going to open it this way. The other option would be you could just open up Visual Studio or whatever you're using. Say file, open, go to wherever your project is. So here's my React Native apps. This is my React Native tutorial project. You could just click on it, click open, do it that way too. All right, so let's make this bigger. I'm actually gonna move this over here. So I'll be going between this screen and that screen. All right, so let's go through a bit of how this is organized. You'll notice with Expo, if you use Expo, starting out, they don't have the Android and iOS folders over here. If you're used to using something like Flutter or some other cross-platform programming language, a lot of times they start out with an Android and an iOS folder here. Expo is kind of different in that they truly want you to be able to just write JavaScript code. And then whenever you build your app, at that point, they'll create those folders for you in the build folders. But there should be no reason to have to touch those folders in Expo because they pretty much have everything set up for you. So with assets, you'll notice there's some added photos in here. The adaptive icon is for, I believe, Android. It's for Android's icon, adaptive icon for the app. And so this can be used to adjust the size of the icon depending on the type of Android device. Icon is what's the app icon for like Apple, things like that. Splash, you'll notice it looks like a phone. The screen looks like a phone. This is the photo that appears as the app is opening up on your phone. This is what appears on the screen while the app's loading the initial state. And if you ever want to change any of these, you can just drag and drop new photos into here. And so for example, if I created a splash screen, I could move it in here. I could delete this file and rename the new file splash.png, something like that. And then that'll automatically replace that. But we won't worry about that for right now. We'll do that later. And then this app.js file, this is where you'll see, this is your initial app. And we'll just go ahead and open this up for Expo. If you click Command J, it should open up a terminal. I'll make this a little bigger so you can see everything better. All right. And to run an Expo app, you can just say Expo start. That'll pull up this. I'm going to move this over here where we were just at. Okay. And then if you want this to run on an Android emulator, you'll want to go ahead and open up an Android emulator. And to have an Android emulator on your computer, I'll put this link in the description below too, but you'll want to go to developer.android.com/studio. Click this download Android Studio. You have to accept the terms and conditions. And then the next screen asks you, do you want Mac or Windows? I've already got this installed on my computer, but if you don't, you'll want to go to Android Studio to open that up. I'll be using the Android emulator for this video since Android works both for Mac and Android. So once you install that, it should, here, I'm going to move this over so there's some space for the emulator. Android Studio looks something like this. So get an emulator open. This will pop up. You'll want to click these three dots right here. Click Virtual Device Manager. And that should bring up a page like this. This is another Android device I've created already, but I'll go ahead and create a new one so we can create one. And I'm going to just go to Pixel 2 because the Expo team said it definitely worked for them on Pixel 2. So I'm going to just open up Pixel 2. And here you'll see I haven't downloaded anything. So I'm going to download Tiramisu. Hopefully that won't take too long. All right, and whenever it's done, you can just click Finish. I'm going to click Next. I'm going to again change this name to React Native Tutorial. Click Finish. All right, so I'm going to open up Pixel 2. And if you don't like the size of it, you can come over here and shrink it. I'm going to shrink it just so I can have more coding space. But anyway, I'm going to try Expo Start. So open up Expo. All right, let's see. I'm going to click Run on Android Emulator. Okay, so it's looking like it's working. It's saying it's opening. So here we go. I'll make it a little bigger. All right, there we go. So it actually worked. So just make sure whenever you're opening up an emulator, try opening up Pixel 2. That'll definitely work. And if one isn't working, there's a chance that it's just the version of Android on that phone. So don't worry about it if it's not working. Just try again with a different version of Android. All right, so one of the things I always like to do is I like to organize my app. I usually create a source folder and I'll create my navigation, and then I'll also create my app state, which is where I store all my global variables and things like that. And I'll show you how to do that real fast. So let's just go and do that. I want to show you how to use hooks in case you haven't used hooks before. You should be using hooks for expo. It makes life a lot easier, and a lot of the expo functions won't work if it's not in a hook. So it needs to be in a hook, but we'll do that in just a second. First, let's go ahead, click into the root of your folder here, and you can click to create a folder. And I like to just call it source folder. Some people call it app, so you know that this is where your app's going to be. Inside of source folder, I'll create something called app navigation. And inside of app navigation, I'll create an app navigation.js file. Then I'll click back on the root of the source folder. I'll create a new folder, call it app state. This is something I created myself. I didn't really like the storage solutions out there, like Redux and things like that. Feel free to use Redux if you want. I find this way simpler, just in my mind. Basically, the way I've done it is app state is kind of at the top of everything, and then everything else is below app state. So it's just a quick way you'll be able to pass down any prop you want from the parent app state down to anything else. It just makes a lot more sense in my mind. But I'll show you how that works too. So within app state, just create something called app state.js. And then this is how I like to have the app.js file formatted. All I use app.js for is I'll have the push notifications installed here. We'll do that in a second. And then here where it just says return, I'm just going to return app state. So before I do that though, you need to come up here and say import app state from, and then I'll go ./source/app state/app state. And I'm going to switch all of this to just say app state. Okay. And to make it look a little cleaner, I also like to do it this way. So it dwindles it all down to that. You can go ahead and delete styles. You don't need it. And you can actually delete all of this up here. You don't need any of it. And so you could just have app state up here. In a second, we'll get push notifications running too. But before we do that, I'll basically, here, let me move this out of the way. All right. I'll basically recreate what was on here in app state. So, but I'm sorry, before I do that, within source, another folder I like to have in source is called home, or no, sorry, I like to call it screens. We'll call it screens. So this is where I like to hold all of my screens inside of. So within the screens folder, you can create a new folder for every screen in your app. So the first screen we're going to create is going to be called home. So I create a folder for home, and within home, I'll say home.js. And for this app, we're going to have some other screens too, but we'll get to that in just a second. So in the home screen, this is where I'm going to show you how to how to use hooks. So one of the first things you'll want to do is just say import React, comma. You'll want to put curly braces here, like an object. And what we're wanting to access is something called use state and use effect. If you're used to React and you've never used hooks before, use state is basically just a way to where you can use state in a functional component. With React, there's functional components and then there's stateful components. Well, with hooks, it kind of combines them both together into one. So inside of a hook, you can still use state and use effect. What this is basically component did mount. So in React, if you want to update state after the page is rendered, you would use component did mount. With hooks, we use effect. And so I'll just show you how this works really fast. So I'll import that from React. Okay. And let me just, okay. And so you want to say export default. I'm just going to say home because this is the home screen. Oops. And let me come over here. And I'm so sorry. You should say function first. And then home. And then this and that. Okay. So this is a basic hook function. It's just like a normal function. And you don't have to render anything. You can just return. So you can just say return. And we'll go ahead and kind of set this up like it was a second ago. But we'll just say text, which gets us to kind of the unique things about React Native. With React Native, it's all component based. So instead of using JSX like you would with React Native, like instead of saying something like H1, hello, something like that, that won't work. You need to use a component. And to do that, you need to import it from React Native. So I'm going to say import, and let me just make sure I'm doing this right. So you can start out by saying text, and this might, hold on. So sometimes you can just say text. What am I doing? Okay. Okay, and then if you go down here, you can say React Native, and then it'll automatically import it for you. And you can say hello world for your first text. And that should appear on the screen. We'll see. And first, let me see. Oh, okay. I need to delete that. That's what was wrong. All right. So once this gets up and running again. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So I'm actually importing app state. Before I do that though, let me just go ahead and import home so I can just show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to switch this out to show you what I'm doing here. Home/home. All right, and so there it is. It's up over there. But we'll get to that in a second. I am so sorry. Let me just undo this, get back to app state. We'll get to the home screen in just a second. But in your app state, this is where we're going to start creating our global state. And from here, we're going to go down the tree to app navigation, and then we're going to go down to home after that. So that's kind of how it works. App state, app navigation, all the other screens. All right, so first things first, we want to import React and use state again, because we're going to use a hook function for this. And I will show you how hook functions work right now. So I'll say export default apps. Oh, sorry, function app state. I'll do it like this. We'll return. We'll just go ahead and import, I'm going to import app navigation. And that's what we're going to return in this from sorry, app navigation / app navigation. And down here, just like in the app screen, how we just return app state, here we can just return app navigation. And we're going to put some things, some props in app navigation in a second. But before we do that, let's go ahead and show you how hooks work. So here's how a hook works. To create a variable, you would say const brackets, this first spot here. So there's going to be two things. Well, I'll just do it this way. Okay, the first thing I'll say, so this is going to be a note-taking app. So let me think about this. So one of the things we'll definitely need is probably all your notes, your note data. So I'm just going to say all notes. So this is going to be an array that holds all of our note data. So I'm going to call that all notes. That's the name of the variable. That's the name of the state. To be able to update the state, this second value here is what you would use to update the value of all notes. And the way you can just name it is say set all notes. You can just say set whatever you call your variable, and you'll know that that's what you use to update your state. Over here, you would say use state. And within here, this is the original value of all notes, of whatever your state is. Just like with a stateful component, you would start out with something. Here's where you would put it. So I'm going to say this is an array, just an empty array. So I'm going to put that there. And so that'll be a value for all notes. But say, here, I'll create a few more of these. And I'll say, I'll have one for just note. And then I'll just say set note. So this will be, say, like all the data inside of a single note. So for our note-taking app, you'll have all the notes on a screen. And then if you click on one or tap on one, that could open up the whatever's inside of a single note. So we'll want that to be an array too. And let's see. We might not need much more than this for now. Let me think though. But just as an example, I'll just say, I don't know, note text. We probably won't need this, but I'm just gonna show you. Note text. If you wanted it to be just a string, you can start it out like that. And then if you wanted an object, you could start it out as an object. And so maybe actually this note will be an object. So I'm actually going to switch this to an object. Okay. So all the notes will be in an array. The individual notes will be an object with values inside of those notes. And I don't think we'll actually need this, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I just wanted to show you how hooks work. And then from then on, whenever you want to access the value of one of these, you could access the value of, say I want to do a console log. I could access the value of all notes this way. And then if I ever want to change the value of all notes, I could do something like this, copy set all notes. And then within there, it would still need to be an array of some kind, because this is a const, so it can't be any other type of data. But I could go ahead and in here, I could add an object with a key that says note text, say hello. And that would change the value of this all notes state to this. And that's the basics of how hooks work. So we'll be using hooks a lot in this. So that's just a brief overview so you know what we're doing if you haven't used hooks before. But it's that simple. Again, it's super, super simple. And before we go on, just so we have some data to show on the screen, let's put some dummy data in here. So for all notes in here, again, we're going to create a note. I'm just kind of making this up as I go. So what are some things a note needs? So one of the things would be, which you don't need to do it that way. You could just say note text. So this is my first business. I'll say startup idea. I'm gonna close this so we have more space. Okay, and I'll go ahead and create another one. And I'll just say note text for now. Maybe we could add in an ID in a second. I'll say this is my second startup idea. Okay, and maybe actually, so let's do this. We'll say note title. So we'll give all our notes a title. And I'll say the title will be first idea. And then the note text is this is my first startup idea. And then I'll do the same thing here. Note title, second idea. Okay. All right, so we have some dummy data to work with. We might want to give this dummy data an ID or something like that. Give your notes an ID, which let's just go ahead and do that. I'll say note ID, and then this will officially be good. I'll say 1, since this is the first note. And here I'll say note ID 2. All right, so we officially have some dummy data. And while I'm creating this, I'm gonna expand this so we can see better. Okay, and then for set note, we'll use this later. We'll make it to be when you tap on it, whichever note the user taps on, that's what's going to be given to the value of this note here that will open up on a new screen. All right, so here's how app state is designed. From here, you would just say const app state equals, and let me, hold on. Okay, and say an object. So app state equals an object. And then the value of those objects would be just all of these. So the first one would be apps, all notes. And you can actually just do it this way. Because if you have the variable name and value are the same, you don't have to give it a value for it to work. So I don't have to do it this way. All notes. If this is what I'm saying, all notes, to shorten it up, I can just do it like this. And then within app navigation, I'm going to pass down app state to my app navigation this way. I'll just say app state equals app state. And so then from then on out, I'm going to pass this app state, I'm going to pass it down to the rest of my screens. And then from then on out, in any screen that you want, you can just access any of these variables by just saying app state dot whatever. So all nodes, set all nodes, anything like that. All right, so that's how app state works. This is just something I created. I designed it this way because it makes the most sense in my head. Feel free though, if you use some other type of global state management, use whatever you want. But this is just what I use. All right, so let's go ahead. Let me make sure. So we didn't use effect in this function, but we will in another one. So I'll just leave that there though, in case we want to use it. Next, we'll go to app navigation, and this is where we'll link to the home screen. And before I do that though, let me come back to this screen here. I have this in the comments below as well, in the description below. But for Expo, we'll want to use React Navigation. And so you'll just want to go to reactnavigation.org, and you can click try it. Or actually, let's go back. You can click read docs. And there's this getting started. So it says the first thing you'll want to do is npm install this. So I'm going to go ahead and npm install this in my terminal. This is what we're going to be used to create our navigation. So this is where we'll be able to switch between screens, and we can also show you how to create links. So because Expo can be used to create websites too, not just an iOS and Android app. You can also create a website, and I'll show you how to have like your website.com/home/whatever screen, and we'll go ahead and do it that way. So I went ahead and installed this. And it says if you're using Expo, it's a good idea to Expo install these things as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that since we're using Expo. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, so I'll say Expo install these things. And it's always a good idea whenever you're installing something from Expo to Expo install it, because what that does is it checks what version of React Native you're using, and it'll install the packages that are compatible with your version. So you'll never accidentally install the wrong version of an Expo package if you use Expo install. So that's pretty cool. You'll want to use Expo install for anything you install from Expo. You don't have to worry about this bare React Native project. We're using Expo managed workflow, so you don't have to worry about this at all. So just ignore this. And let's see here. Okay, so this is what we're looking for. Let me drink my coffee real fast. All right, so we're going to want to import this. This navigation container is going to contain all of our screens. So let's go ahead and we'll import both of these actually. So we'll import React and React navigation. So you can import that there. We'll just go ahead and import app state since we know we're going to need it. Well, actually, never mind. We don't need to import app state. We can just go ahead and say export. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. What we do need to import is home, because this is the screen we want to show. So we'll say import home from. And if you need to go up a layer, you can say / and go down to screens /home. Okay. This is the first screen we want to show up in our app. All right, and then you can say export default function. And so by the way, before I move on, there are shortcuts for all of this, but I've noticed myself, I'll forget how to create like the most basic things if I don't just practice it. So what I've started to do is instead of relying on extensions to do everything for me, for this basic stuff, I like to kind of write it out myself so I don't forget how to do it. Because it's the most embarrassing thing in the world if you're ever in like an interview with somebody to try to get a job and like you can't even remember how to write out a function because you're so used to using the shortcuts that you look like an idiot. So I don't want to look like a dummy. So anyway, that's why I write out everything so I don't ever forget it. All right, anyway, so I'll say app navigation. And you remember in app state, we passed in app state to app navigation. So we want to go ahead and import app state here. Okay. And then from then on, we have access to this. If you ever want to use a value inside of it, you can say const. You can use the deconstruction to say we want the value all nodes, which we'll do this in a second, but I'm just showing you ahead of time. We can do it like that and say that's all we want in this. And then from then on out, you can just access all nodes, which we'll be doing that in the home screen in just a second. I'm getting ahead of myself, but we want to definitely bring in that prop so we can pass it down to our screens. All right, so let's just click next to hello navigation. So we've already npm installed. Okay, well, actually, we haven't done this. So we want to go ahead and npm install React Navigation native stack. So we want to go ahead and do that too. Again, these links are in the description below that you can follow along with. All right, and we've already imported React. We've already imported this navigation container. Now we need to import this create native stack navigator. This is really important for creating the navigation in React Native in an app. All right, and this home screen, this is in another, we've split it apart, so don't worry about this for now. But what you do want is to const stack create native stack navigator. Can come under the home that you just imported, which is basically what this is up here. And so anyway, we'll get to that in a second. All right, and then in here it's saying this is the app.js screen, but we're not in the app.js screen anymore. So all we need from this screen is this right here. So we'll do it like this. So basically the navigation container. Go ahead and copy that. And actually we'll take the whole return because I haven't returned anything yet. So take all of that, put that there. From here on out, the way that we'll create new screens is you don't have to create a new navigation container. From then on out, you can just copy this stack.navigator and like this. And you can name your screen, screen 2, and so forth. Before we move on though, we want to be able to pass in this app state prop into the home screen. Let me just see if it mentions how to do that. I know, so normally what I have to do is you have to design this a little bit differently, but I'm seeing if they've added in the ability to pass in a prop. I'm just going to say passing additional props. Okay. Okay, they have not. Okay, so if you do not need to pass down props, you can just leave it like this. But we do need to pass down props, so we do not want to leave it like this. What we want to do is click this over here. It says passing additional props. This is how we want to design our stack dot screens. So you could copy it like this. Instead of having a one line stack screen, you can do it like this. Okay. And let's do it like this. Okay, that looks better. Okay. So if you do it this way, before I move on, let me just make sure I didn't tell you the wrong thing. Moving between screens. Let's see. I think I did tell you the wrong thing a second ago. So I want to look real fast. This is not what I'm looking for. Nesting navigator. Okay. I told you the wrong thing a second ago. So let's go back. Let me go back to this original one. So in here, it's actually, you want to keep this stack navigator there too. So don't touch the navigation container or the stack.navigator. The way you create new screens is this way. I was a little confused because it originally has you do just one line, but it's actually like this. So this is how you would name your additional screen. Screen 2, screen 3. So, which we'll get to that in just a second, but we don't need to do that just yet. But anyway, just again, just to emphasize, you'll want to click this passing additional props. And this is how you're going to want to create your screens in the navigation. And this is so that you can pass in props. You need to design it this way. And then replace this extra data thing. You can just name that app state. Then everything within app state, all of this will now be available within this home screen. And I'm going to change this home screen. Notice it says home screen. I'm just going to call it home instead of home screen to match what I named it up here. But if it makes more sense to you, call it home screen. All right, so we're officially good to set up this home screen. We want to show this dummy data that's in the all notes. We want to go ahead and show this in the home screen. So I'm going to go ahead and come back to the home screen. Before I do that, this should be showing up. So let me see here. Where did I see? Okay. So if your app is ever frozen like this, you can just reload the app, which when you first open up the app, it tells you how to do that. I believe you just have to click the R button. Let me see. Yep. Okay. So if you're in there, you can just click the R button and it'll refresh the app if it's frozen like that. And there you go. You see we have the beginning of our app. One of the things you'll notice here is there's automatically a header for you. And it's whatever the name you give it, here is what it's going to be. So home screen, I'll just say home screen. And I'll actually just change this to, I'll say all notes, because this is where I want all my notes to show. And so we'll just go ahead for now, keep this here. But I do want to show, if you want to create your own header, instead of this creating it for you, there's something called options. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let's see what's here. So show, I think it's called show title false. Let me just see if that works. Let me do it that way. So, no, okay, let me look real fast. So if you want to not show, let me look up in here how to turn don't show header. If you don't want to show header, let's see. Okay, sorry. Okay, the options is header shown false. So I'm going to switch this to say header shown false. And that makes the header go away. And then within here, you could just like create your own header. We'll do that eventually. I like to create my own headers, but for now, I'll just go ahead and take this off. But, and so we'll get back to this, but I just wanted to go ahead and show you how to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and style this a bit. This gets us to one of the next parts of React Native that's different than React. With React, you import a CSS file and style it that way in a CSS file. In React Native, though, it's different. You'll come down here and let me actually, here, let's go back to this screen here. And I'm going back to the React native.dev. And I'll click, let's see, design style. Okay. So React native.dev is where you can find all of this, but you're going to want to, if you go back to the documentation and click design here, click style. This is how we create styles in React Native. Underneath your component, you would create the styles here that, and everything is inline style based. So the first step is you'll want to go ahead and import style sheet, and you can go ahead and import text and view as well from React Native. And I've already got text imported. Well, I'll just go ahead and add that and then delete this. All right. So down here, we'll go ahead and come back here. So the way you can do it is you just say const styles and to create a style sheet. So I'll say const styles equals style sheet, which is, that's what this is up here, dot create. I believe it's just create. Yep, create. All right. And then you can put an object within there. And this is where we'll put all of our styles. So the first thing I want to say is, I'll call it screen. One of the things to know about React Native styling that's also different than React is with React, you have, so back up a bit. So with React Native, everything is automatically Flexbox. You automatically use Flexbox styling. The main difference with React Native is everything is automatically, instead of flex row being side to side, it's automatically column based, top to bottom. So it's not left to right, it's top to bottom. And let me just go ahead and show you what I mean. Okay. Another thing you'll need to do is make sure you wrap everything within a view component. And so normally in like React, if you added something else, it would be left to right. But you'll notice with React Native, it's always top to bottom. If you want it to become left to right, you would have to go in and say flex direction and change it to row in order to switch it to a row. And let's go ahead and add an inline style here to show you what I mean. So style this view. you can say, let me go back. Hold on. Okay, sorry. So normally there's an S at the end of this. So say styles dot screen. Okay. And so there you go. Now you see it switched it to a row. All right. So, but we don't want it to be a row. What I want to do is I want to center the screen for now. So I'll say justify content center. And remember, this should center it top to bottom. And then align items center will actually center it left to right. Now you'll notice it did not automatically take up this whole screen. One of the things to remember that's kind of weird with React Native is it has something called flex. And you need to add flex. Flex is just a way of saying, it's hard to put it into words, but so since this flex is at the top level on this view, you can think of this as like 100% of the space. And if I went back here and removed the header, it would be 100% of the whole space. If you put back in the header, then it's just 100% of this space here. So I'll go ahead and leave the header in for now. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the header right away because I like to create the headers myself. So I'm gonna go ahead and you'll wanna, in your stack doc screen, just say options equals you'll wanna do an object in here, say header shown false. And so within here, you can basically see, so at the top level, this is 100%. Now say I wanted each of these, I'm gonna add a fourth one. Say I wanted each of these to take up 1/4 of the whole screen. So what I'm gonna do here is I'll say 1/4. And if I give each of these a flex value of 1, since there's 4 objects, 4 different flexes, these will each take up 4%, or sorry, 25% of the screen. It's something you kind of have to remember. So let's try that out. Styles dot 1/4. Let me copy that, paste that there. Oops, I deleted this. I got to put that back. All right, so there you go. So now you can see a little bit better. And let me here, I'll put you can say border width to add a border. I'm going to say 4 so you can really see it. Yeah, okay, there you go. So now you can see it's taking up, whenever you add flex, it's like meaning top to bottom. Let me try something actually. I want to see if this changes anything. If I say flex row. Okay, so it does. All right, so basically, depending on which direction it is, if this is a row, it'll split up it in a row direction. If it's just a normal column like this, a top to bottom, flex will split it top to bottom based on how many flexes are within the top layer flex. So the top layer is 1. Since there's 4 in here, it each takes up 1/4 of the height. If I added a 5th one here, each of them would take up 1/5 of the height, so 20%. And then say you want it to stretch the width, then you would need to put the width here. So I'm gonna say width, and you can say 100%. Before I move on to, you'll notice here how I created the styling. If it's going to be like a percent or something like that with inline styling, it needs to be a string. But if you're saying a pixel, if you're using a pixel, instead of having to do like 4px or something like that, with pixels, you can just write the number and it'll just know. So this is automatically 4 pixels. This is automatically 2 pixels. And then if I were to switch this to 100, this would be like 100 pixels. So yeah, that's a good brief overview of styling and how that works. Before I forget, I'm gonna go ahead and just add in push notifications. So you'll be able to send yourself a push notification. And to do that, you can go to nativenotify.com. We'll just go together. You can go to nativenotify.com, click this sign up free button. It's free to sign up. There's no credit card required. That should take you to a page like this. The first thing you'll want to do is click create an app. And we're using React Native Expo, so you'll want to go ahead and click this. And we'll go ahead and just follow these start here instructions together. It only takes about a minute, literally a minute, to get up and running. So your first step is copy this, come back to your app, paste that into your terminal. Okay, so go ahead and install Native Notify. And where I like to keep push notifications, I like to keep push notifications in the app.js file. And so the step 2, where it says import this function, you want to go to your app.js file, import that right there. And then it says make sure you're using a hook function for your app function, or push notifications won't work. We're already using a hook function. This link here goes more in depth into how hook functions work if you'd like to view that, but we're already using a hook function. And then your last step is to copy this, and you'll notice your app ID and your app token are already in there for you, so you don't have to add that in. You can just copy this. Oops. Okay, and you can come over here, just paste it right there at the top of your app. You're actually done. Push notifications are finished. And you can see right here, it says you can now send a push notification. You successfully registered your Native Notify push token. So one thing about push notifications, though, is they will not work on an emulator. Like, we'll try it out real fast. This is a test. And let's see. Okay, actually, I stand corrected. Never mind. So this does work on an emulator. Okay, so we went ahead and tested that out, and it's sent to us right there. So you can go ahead and click that. And there's the push notification. You'll notice that it takes you here to the send page once you successfully sign up. You can go ahead and change this to whatever you want to call it. I'm going to say expo tutorial, so I know what app this is. And once you successfully send a push notification, you'll see down here a receipt of the date, what you sent, everything like that. And there's some other advanced things you can do. You can send a data object. I won't go into how to send a data object. I made a video on it, though. If you want to learn more about it, it should pop up right there. But again, you can just go ahead and test out another push notification, another notification, test, send a notification. Okay. And the receipt showed up there, so it's saying it's sent. Let's see if it appeared. All right, there it is, another notification. So there we go. That's you have push notifications set up in your app, and what we just set up is good for iOS in production mode, and it's good for iOS in development mode, Android in development mode. But there's one extra step you need to follow, this Android setup guide. If you watch this video, it'll walk you through how to get push notifications ready for being in production mode live on the App Store. So there's some extra steps you have to take to get Android working on the App Store. But yeah, after that, you're completely done with push notifications. All right, so let's go ahead and start showing some of our notes on the screen. Before I forget though, I forgot, I actually, in App State, instead of doing it like this is actually how I usually like to organize this, so that it can kind of be like a straight line, sort of like your hooks. Put a comma there and then like this. So you can do it like that, or you can do one straight down, however you want to do it. So we've already passed down our app state through the app navigation. So we can go ahead and import it here, app state. And the first thing we'll want to do is say const. We want to deconstruct this app state. And what we want here is, let's see, what will we want? We'll want definitely all the notes, because that's what we're going to be showing. We want to be able to set the note because we want it to be, if they tap on one of the notes, we want to set the value of this empty object to that note. And we want to set the value of note to that note within all the notes. And we're going to want to create a new screen to navigate to show note details, something like that. So these are the two I'm thinking that we'll probably need from this page. So we'll go ahead and capture it this way. And I'm going to go ahead and create a map function here to, first off, I'll go ahead and delete this 1/4 styling. That was just an example. I'm going to delete all of these. We definitely need to have everything within a view. And so I'm going to keep this view here. I'll keep this way, so it'll be centered. And then here, I'm going to put curly braces so that I can use JavaScript in here. And let's see, I'll say, so all notes is what we want to use. We'll say all notes map, so that it'll actually return something. And I'll say E and I. So E stands for element, I stands for index of the element. I'll do it this way. One of the first things I always like to do with map is make sure to write return, because if you don't return something, nothing will happen. Return E. I've sat here wondering what is wrong so often because I forgot to write E here. So it says undefined. So let me see if this will work. So I'll say note title, E.note title. Let's just return the note title. Oh, and this will not work because it needs to be inside of a text object or it won't work. So let's just go ahead. I meant to say text component. So it needs to be inside of a text component to work. All right, so let's try that out. See if this works. Okay, it's saying undefined is not an object. Okay, hold on one second. Oh, okay. So I see what's going on. So what's wrong here is anytime you import app state as a prop, this needs to be within an object, or what it's doing right now is it's creating a new app state object within an app state object within an app state object. So we just need to import it this way, and then it should work. So let's see. Okay, all right, so this should work. Sorry about that. Okay, so again, whenever you're importing app state, just make sure it's within an object like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and uncomment out this again. All right, and this E dot note title needs to be within curly braces or they won't work. All right, so there you go. You see our first idea title is there, our second idea title is there. The next thing we want to do is we want to make sure to put a key value here, or Expo React Native is going to yell at us. So we'll just give a key value of the index that it's within. All right, and so what we want to do is we want to make these look like notes with a box around them, something like that, that we can tap on and it'll take us to a new screen. It'll take us to like a detailed version of that screen. And what we want to also say is, so we just added the key there. We want to also say, once they press on it, we want to set the value. Actually, we'll do it like this. We'll say const handle press, and we'll make this an arrow function. And we'll add this here. So within a text object, within a text component, things like that, there's something that's called an on press event. So what we want to say is whenever the user taps this, we want to trigger the handle press event. So we'll do it like that. And within this event, what we want to do is we want to set the value of note to E, the element within there. So in order to do that, actually, we need to do it this way. In this on press event, we'll want to say when it's pressed, we want that. Let me just make sure I'm just doing this right. Okay. Okay, so it's actually accessing it correctly. All right. So what we want is, I'll just say, call this element so it's easier to understand. What we want to do is set the note, the individual note, equal to the object within the all notes object that the user taps on. And so now if you come over here, you'll notice okay, well, sorry. So let's do it this way. So this should be working. Okay. Let's make sure this is working. Let me do a console log here. Make sure everything's working properly. I'll say handle press triggered. And then I'll put the value of element here to make sure we're getting the correct value. I'm going to refresh the app, try out tapping on it. Okay, so there is a chance. I think what's happening is the text does not have the on press event. So basically what we're going to have to do here is create a button. In React Native, you can do something called a button. But this just is like a generic button that is pre-designed for you and everything. So you don't have a lot of control over its styling. What you want to do is import instead something called a touchable opacity. A touchable opacity is a button. It's like a touchable object that you have complete control over how it's designed. So I'm going to say touchable opacity. And I'll do it this way. I'll take this text out, put it inside of this touchable opacity, and I'll actually put this within this. take that out. All right, and this looks better. Okay. There we go. All right, so I'm going to take this on press event, which it's not available on all components. Some components it's not available. So it looks like it's not available on the text component, but it should be, it's definitely available on the touchable opacity. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there, and you should see this should light up. So let me refresh the app. Should light up whenever I tap it, but it is not. So let me see what's going on here. Oh, okay. So remember I said it needs a key. So since the touchable opacity is now on the outside, the key needs to go on the touchable opacity. All right, so let me refresh again. Hopefully it doesn't yell at me. Okay, it's not yelling at me. I do not know why this is not working. Let me add some styling so that I can see this better. Here, I'll do it this way. Make it look a little bit better. Okay, we want that to happen on the press event. Okay, and I'm gonna create a style. I'll say styles dot, I'll just call it button for now. Come down here, call it a button. And let me see, I'll put a margin in every direction of 20 so that it's separated a bit. Okay, I'll say padding 20 as well. And I'll say border width, because you have to give the border a width of 2. Okay. So for some reason, this is not working. Let me refresh. Okay, so it just shut down. Gosh. Let's try this out again. I'm gonna restart expo. Expo start -- Android. So this should open this up. Okay. There we go. Okay. So sometimes if things aren't working right away and you know it should work, sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes you just have to refresh your app. So I just completely shut down the app, turned it back on, and now it's working fine. So you'll notice if I click this down here, it says the value of element is now the first startup idea. If I click the second one, it changes it to the second idea. One of the things that's automatically available if you're using React Navigation is there's an object called navigation, or a prop called navigation, that you can import into your screen. What we're going to do now is we'll go ahead and I'll make this bigger again. We'll create another screen, and let's just call this screen. We'll call it the detailed note, something like that. Or I don't know, I'll just call it note. In there, I'll make a note.js. All right, and I'll just go ahead and copy the home screen. And before we move on, I think I'm gonna change home screen. I'm gonna call it all notes, just for clarity, so we know this is all the notes. And I'm gonna change the name to all notes too. And then I'll go to app navigation. I'll change the name to all notes as well instead of home. I'll say all notes. So this is just to help me know, okay, so this is the all notes screen. And then whenever you tap on a note, it'll go to the individual note screen. And let's go back to all notes. I'm going to go ahead and Control All to copy all of this. And I'll go ahead and paste this into the note screen, and I'll switch this to just be called note. All right, and in this one, we don't need the all notes. We just need, I think we just need notes. Let's see, come back here. Or note, we would need note. Okay, so I think we need note. This will show everything in that note. And let's just say we can do a return. We'll just, oops. So we don't actually need to return anything because we've already returned something up here. What we'll say is, for now, we'll just return a text. And we'll just say note title, and we'll say note text. So this should show up on the screen. I'll go ahead and delete this handle press event for now. And so, yeah, this should work. And if we come back to this all notes, I'll go ahead and get rid of this console log. So what we want to happen is we want to set the value of note to whatever note they tap on. And then under that, we want to use this navigation prop, and we would just say navigation.navigate. And we'll navigate to the name of the screen we want to go to. The name of the screen we want to go to, here, I'll do single quotes, is note. We want to go to the note screen. And then let's come back here to app navigation. We'll go ahead and create the note screen. So let's copy, paste this. And you can click Control D to copy more than one thing. And I'm going to change this all to notes because that should be how, yep, or no, it should be note. So I'm going to undo, change this all to note. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and copy this, come under that, paste it there. We'll change the name of this to notes. And I'll actually change the name of this to all notes without a space, just camel case, so that we can use the name. So for example, if we want to go back, we could say all notes. So it's not confusing. All right, so we'll come back here to switch this to just be note. And this should work. So whenever we tap on one of the note titles, this should now set our note value, and it should go to a new screen. And it should show the value of the title and the text. So let's see if it works. I'm going to click the R button just to reload the app, just to make sure. And let's see if it'll work. So there we go. It worked. If you want to go back, well, first off, let's do it this way. Note title, so we know what we're looking at. Note text. All right. So if you want to go back, you'll notice there's no back buttons here, but over here, these are like your phone controls. So you can click this back button. Oops, and I accidentally went too far back, but so I'll try clicking the second one. There we go. We went to the second one, can click back. Go to the first one, click back, we're back home. So there you go. That's a basic navigation. We have navigation set up. We have sort of like the basic version of our app, sort of. Basically, we want a screen where we can see all of our notes, and then we want a screen where we can see the detailed version of our note. And eventually, we want to be able to come in here and edit the note. And then there's probably one more screen, maybe like create a note screen. So let's just go ahead. We'll go ahead before we move on. Within screens, I'm going to come to note. I'm just going to click copy, paste to create a copy of that folder. I'm going to rename this to create note. And within there, I'll just rename, instead of note.js, I'll say create note. I'm pretty sure this will be the only 3 pages we'll need. Within the note page, we'll be able to edit the notes and delete the notes if we want to. So we don't need like an edit note. I'm pretty sure we just need an all notes page, a note page where you can see what the note says, and a create note page where you can create a new note. So let's go ahead and come back to app navigation, and we'll also create the create note page. So you can come here, just copy. By the way, if you come to the end of a line and say Command C and then Command V, copy, paste, it'll automatically create a copy of that. And I'll just come here, go Command D over, say create note. Make sure that's what I named it. Okay, yep, that's what I named it. And then I'll come down here, we'll create a new page. And we'll just switch both of these to create note. All right, and I'll go ahead and remove the spaces here. But yeah, I think that's the basic structure for our app. So we'll go ahead and start working on things like the header and the footer. And like I said, I like to create those from scratch. So what I like to do is within the source folder, I like to also create another folder, call it headers. And then also within the root of the source folder, I like to create another folder called footers. And then this allows us to create a unique header and footer for each screen. And so I'll start out with the footer so we can see the 3 different types of screens. I'll say within this footer, this footers folder, I'll say all notes footer, which I'm thinking about this actually. So with the footer, for now, I think there'll just be a global footer for all the pages. I'm thinking, I don't think we'll need to change to a different footer as of right now. So I'm just going to say global footer.js. Within the header, we'll want to create different headers probably, so the text in the header could be different. But I'm thinking even that we could just have a global header as well. Let me actually, for now, we'll just say global header. And if we need to change this, we can always come back and create multiple headers if we need to. So let's just, now that we've created these, let me, I want to work on the footer first. So we'll go ahead and open up the footer. Again, we can just come back to notes. Notes is probably a better one. Control all the notes, the note page, come back to global footer, paste that there, and we'll just change this name to global footer. Okay. Global footer. We don't need anything within app state yet. So I'm not gonna put that there. But what we're about to do is I'm gonna show you how to import icons. There's a directory of icons that I like to use that we'll use for this. But instead of saying screen, since this is gonna be a footer, I'm gonna call this style I'm gonna change both of these to footer cont for footer container. And within here, I'm just gonna, for now, I'm gonna say home. Well, yeah, I'll say all notes. And create a note. And then the note screen is going to be accessible only when you touch on one of the note titles here. All right, so I think this is pretty good. Let's see. It will center everything. And I think that's good for now. Here, I'll delete this button style. Okay, so to get this showing up, I'm gonna go ahead and import this in the all notes screen. So I'll say import global footer, and it went ahead and found that path for me. Oh, and so, and well, anyway, okay, I'll go ahead and come here underneath where I have this right here. I'm just gonna put the global footer here. I'll go ahead and pass down app state just in case we need it. And another thing I'll pass down is navigation. We'll need to pass down this navigation prop into the footer so that we have access to it. So we'll go ahead and add that there. Let's see how that turned out. Okay. So in here, we want to go ahead and switch this to be a row. So I'm going to, and also, I don't want this to be flex one. Let's see here. Okay, so this is another thing I like to do. I like to create a header section, a body section, and a footer section. So first I'm going to go ahead. Let's actually import a header as well. We'll go ahead and do that. So import global header from dot slash headers slash global header, which we haven't created that yet. Just to have something in there, you can come back to global footer, copy all of that, open up global header, you can paste that all there. And for now, we'll just say, we'll say the title of this startup notes. Okay, so that should be okay. Okay, so this global header is going to have a flex of 1, and the global footer is going to have a flex of 1. And so the body needs to have a flex of 8 for everything to work out perfectly. And so let's just go ahead and set everything up. Back in the all notes page, just go ahead and put in the global header there. Okay, and there's the global footer. And now we're gonna wrap the body in another view that we call body. So we're gonna create another style in just a second. We'll call it the body style. Okay, and so this is officially how I personally like to set up each screen. So each screen has a header, each screen has a footer, and each screen has a body. So it sort of feels a little bit more like React. And let's go ahead and come down here, and we have a button. Okay, I'll come here and say body. And you'll see this should, if I give this a flex of 8, what this should do is basically the header we gave, oops, the header we gave a flex of 1, the footer we gave a flex of 1, and the body we just gave a flex of 8. So what this is doing is the header is taking up 10% of the screen, the footer is taking up 10% of the screen, and the body is taking up 80% of the screen. Because 8 plus 1 plus 1 equals 10. So with the one that takes up, so it works it out to be 100% total. It'll always be 100% total. And I hope that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's how that works. And just to give it a better visual, I'll say background color for the body. And you can do it this way. And I'll say, let's see, 202020. I think that's kind of a gray. Yep. All right. So there you go. You can kind of see that it's taking up 80%. And just to be a bit more helpful, the global header, let me see what it looks like this way. Okay. So you'll notice the header looks kind of funny. It's because we need to give a padding to the top of this. So if you come back to screen, there's some space here for all these things here that you see. Currently, right now, it does not have a padding to account for this up here. So we have to add that in. So Expo has, well, first I'll say padding top. All right, so what we want to do now is add padding to account for this status bar up here. That's what I was looking for. It's called a status bar. To do that, Expo has something called Expo constants. We want to use that to account for the padding because the way it works is this status bar up here has a different height for Android and for iOS. So you can't just set a single height and hope it looks good on all devices because a lot of times the status bar is different. But Expo has a dynamic way to measure the height so that your padding top is perfectly the same height as the height of the status bar on the device you're using. And that's called Expo constants. This will be in the description below too. But you'll want to go look up Expo constants, say Expo install Expo constants. And remember, anytime you install something from Expo, you'll want to say Expo install to install it to make sure it installs the right version for you. So I'm going to install Expo constants. All right, the next step is to make sure to import constants from Expo constants. I've already done that up here, but I'll just go ahead and do that again. So you would just put it up there. And then for here, there's something called constants dot status bar height. And this is a dynamic way to know the exact status bar height, which as you can see now, it's perfectly centered in the top 10% of the screen. And just so we can also visualize this a bit better. Well, first off, in global header, I noticed I forgot to change I forgot to change footer everywhere. So this global footer, it needs to be changed to header. Footer cont, let's just change the name to header cont. Okay. And let's go ahead for the cont, the contain, which is short for container. We'll just say for now border width. We'll just say 2. See what that looks like. Okay. And remember, flex only if you're currently set up top to bottom. Flex just controls the height. It won't control the width unless you're in a row. Then it will control the width and not the height. But since we're in column view, we need to also say width. And we'll say 100%. Hopefully this whole flex thing makes more sense the more you use it. And you'll notice it goes up here. There's a line at the top. I don't want that line to be there. So you can say border width bottom, I believe. Hold on. So it might be bottom border. Okay. Border bottom width. So what this will do is it'll only give a border to the bottom. Okay. And so you'll see it took away the border on the side and the top. Just has one for the bottom now. I'm going to copy this and come back to global footer. I'll put that there, and you can just change that to border top width. And we need to also give this a width of 100%. Okay. And actually, so for this one, I want the objects to be in a row. So we'll go ahead and switch this to, we'll say flex direction row, and you'll see what I was talking about. All right. And let's see what happens if I take that out. Okay, so never mind. I take that back. Okay, so you always need to set the width, no matter what. So you'll want to make sure to set the width. But as you saw earlier too, you'll also want to set a height if it's in a row. We already have a height because we have this flex here. We're saying take up 10% of the screen because this footer is still in all notes, which is column based. So I'm sorry if I'm not saying this the best way, but hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain flex and how that works. But I'm going to say instead of justify content center, I'm going to change this to space around. See what that looks like. Yeah, I think that looks better. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to turn these into buttons with icons. This button is going to take us home to all the notes. This button will allow us to create a note. And before we continue, let me come to all notes. For body, I want to go ahead and give it a width of 100%. So it takes up the whole screen. And I'm going to go ahead and take off this back color. And what I'm going to do is for this whole screen, well, first I'll go ahead and take out the spaces here so it looks better. For the whole screen, I want it to be a background color of white so it matches the status bar. And so I'm going to say for the screen, I'll say background color. I believe white is 0. No, okay, sorry. I get 0 and F mixed up. It's F. Okay. And a quick styling tip. You'll notice a lot of apps just have a white background, especially for like the header and the footer. And then they just add in color. with the icons. It's kind of a modern look for apps. I like it personally. And so that's what we're going to do for this app. We'll keep kind of a white background, but let me see, like maybe I can look it up. Look, YouTube app that YouTube app. Let's just see if we can find some images. I'll say YouTube app homepage. Maybe I'm telling you. Okay, here we go. So I'll bring this up. And so you'll notice this is kind of a modern look for apps that I've personally noticed. It's real simple and clean, easy to see. And you'll just notice there's just a white background for the header, white background for the footer. And then they kind of make it come alive by adding color with like the icon. And so that's something I've noticed with a lot of current apps. A lot of apps are designing it that way. So I'm going to stick to that design style. I like it. And so that's what we'll do for this app. Before I move on to the lines are going to bug me. So I'm going to change these lines. What I want to do is I want to add in box shadow instead. So let me go to this global header again. Let me see what it first looks like with one. Okay. And something you can do, you can change the border color from black. You can say border color. And let's see. So I'm gonna just say for now, I'm gonna see what this looks like. 909090. All right, that's a little better. Let me just see what 999 looks like. Okay. And I might, let's add in some shadow. I might completely remove this border. So we'll see. I think what I'm gonna do is change this to border. So let me type in shadow. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna add in a shadow to make this look a little bit better. I put this in the link below too, but there's something I like to use. You can just Google React Native box shadow. And this is a cool tool I found that shows you, you can just copy and paste this basically. If you want it to look like this, the box shadow to look like this. And you can kind of go up or down to whatever you want. I think, let's see, what looks good. Okay, so maybe at number 4, you'll notice there's different styling options. Elevation is Android's box shadow style thing. The rest of this is for iOS. And so you'll need both of them to style it the way you want. So let me come here. I'm going to actually keep that border bottom real fast. Let me see what this looks like. Okay, so I don't really like that at all. So let me take off the border width. Okay. Let's see here. Don't like. So I'm gonna just look it up real fast. Add box shadow just to bottom React Native. So Stack Overflow is your friend. I'll put this in the link below too. But it's saying, how can I just add a box shadow to the bottom like I want to do? And it says you can use overflow hidden to achieve the desired result without having to install a library. So I'm going to do that. And let's see what that looks like. So I'll undo that. so we can still see that. Okay, I am gonna take out this border bottom width and border color. I'll just have that. And then under here, I'll say overflow hidden. See if that does anything. It didn't do anything. He's lying. Okay, wrap the view in a parent view and set the parent's overflow to hidden and apply a padding only on the sides where you want the shadow to appear. Okay, so it's saying, okay, never mind, forget all of this. What you need to make that effect go away, let me actually just undo this overflow thing. You need to give this a background color because right now the background color is transparent. And that's why we can see the shadow. We don't want to see the shadow. So above here, I'm just going to say background FFF to make it white to match everything else. And you'll notice that completely fixed the issue. And I think that kind of looks good. Let's go back and maybe we can play around with it. Maybe try out a bigger shadow. Maybe try out 7. Let's try out 7, see what that looks like. Okay, let's see if we like that better. So that's with hardly any. 7 gives a bit better. Let's go back to where we just were with the YouTube homepage app. This is something you can do if you're wondering how you should style something, you're not totally sure. Look at other apps, see how they style it, see if you like it. It looks like they really don't have a box shadow. If they do, it's hardly any at all. I'm actually going to open it up on my phone just to verify. I'm going to try scrolling down the YouTube app and see if there's any box shadow. It doesn't look like they have one. So, okay. So I'm actually going to go back here and I still want to have a little bit of one. But maybe I'll just do like closer to 2. Something closer to 2. Let's come back here. Try that out. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I hate like sitting for an hour on something little like this. I think I actually am gonna have a box shadow because mine's designed a little bit different. I want to have notes across the screen. With YouTube, they have like a big picture all the way across the screen, so they don't really need a box shadow up there. But I think I'm gonna stick with the 7 setting for now, and you can obviously make this however you want. I won't spend any more time on that. And then for global footer, I'm just gonna change this to 1, see what that looks like. Let me go to the global header. Let me try, I'm gonna try adding in like a 1 box shadow instead of a border, a top border for the global footer. Okay, is there a background color? Okay, and again, we'll want to make sure to add in a background color of white, which is FFF. See what that looks like. Okay, I'm gonna make it a bit bigger. Instead of 1, I'll say switch it to 3. I'll switch it to 4. I promise I'm gonna stop caring about the box shadows so much. I know y'all want to learn more than box shadows. Okay, I still don't like it. I'm gonna actually switch this to 7 too. Okay, here we go. That should look better. Okay, yeah, that looks better to me. We'll stick with that for now. Or again, I might just go back to the border and change the color. I think actually, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna go back to border top width 1. I'm gonna say border top color. And I'm gonna go something like 555. See what that looks like. Nope, don't like it. 202020. And let me come over here. This is also in the notes below. This is a way to try to test out different colors. And actually, so this we'll use a little bit later, but a neat little tool in your developer console that I have found is you can inspect, if you're using Google Chrome, you can inspect something, look something with a color. So this has color blue. Okay, so you can click, you'll notice right here is the blue. You can click that, and I'll just do this, and I'll switch this to where I can see a hex. And we could try that. D8, D8, D8. All right, that looks better. And I don't want it to be that thick, so I'm gonna change this to 0.5. All right, that looks better to me. I'm gonna just stick with that. I'm gonna switch it to 7.5, and I'm gonna stick with that officially. There we go. Okay, I'm not gonna touch it anymore. I promise. I can't promise. I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I will touch it later. Who knows? Okay, so let me go ahead. We're in the footer. We already imported touchable opacity. What I want this to do is to switch between all notes, create a note. I don't believe we've created the create a note page yet. So I'm gonna go there real fast to screens, create note screen. I'm gonna open that up. All right. And then I'm gonna actually switch this to say, create a note screen for now. We'll leave that like that. And we already, for the global footer, we already imported navigation. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap a touchable opacity around this text. And I'll go ahead and copy that, put that there. And I'll do it like this. It's easier to see. Okay, and then in this touchable opacity, I'll just say on press. And I'll add the brackets and the arrow function and just say, whenever this is pressed, navigation dot navigate. And we want to just navigate to all notes. Okay. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the create a note, except we want to go to a different page. So let's go ahead and put this here. And for that, we'll say create note. And let's go back. So what should happen is it should go to each screen. Let's go back to app navigation though, just to, oops, just to make sure I created that. Yep, I created it. and its name is create note. It's there. All right, so let's try this out. See if it works. And it did. There it is. And you'll notice there's no footer or header here, so you have to click back that way. But let's see if all notes works too. Well, actually, okay. So before we move on, I'm going to go ahead and import the global header and the global footer in all 3 pages. So I'll put these over here. So here are our different screens, all notes, note, create note. And maybe I'll do it like this. So you can click this split thing to split the screen up if you want. Just to help me organize things, I'm going to put my screens over here. And then these over here are all the global things that are controlling state, navigation, header, footer. And then over here are my screens. All right, so in all notes, we already have the header and the footer. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this header, come to notes, put that there. I'm going to copy the footer, come back to note, paste that there. I'll go ahead and copy this style body view, put that there. And then I'll move these here. Oops. Okay. And I'll just go ahead and copy this whole thing, come to create note, paste this here. I'll copy this, replace this with create a note screen. Oh, and I forgot note up here. I'll change this to create note 2. All right, and now I just need to import the global header and the global footer. So all notes is on the same level as create note and note. So I can just come to this all notes screen, copy this global header and footer. I'll import that there in note, and then in create note, I'll import it there. All right, so now, before I move on I want to, like we did with all notes, I want to add the padding top and the background color. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in both the note and the create note. And let's see if that automatically, it did not. So we'll need to also import constants. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that, import that, come to create note, import that. Okay, and so this should fix these errors here. Let me try to bring back the emulator. I'm going to go ahead and just click R in here to refresh the app. Okay, so let's see if this works. I'll click create. Okay, so you'll notice I did something wrong here. So we're gonna have, okay. The problem is I didn't bring over the body style. So let's come here to the all notes page, the home page. Let's copy this body. We'll come to note. We'll paste the body there. And by the way, something I kind of like to do too with the styling is if it's like a container, like the header, the screen, the header, body, whatever, I like to put those at the very top of my styles. And sometimes I'll add a space here and then put everything else down here in alphabetical order for the most part. And so that's what I'm going to do with these other screens too. And there we go. That fixed it. So let's see if it goes back to the home screen. So it did. Let's try going to one of the notes. There, it went to the first note. Let's go to the second note. Went to the second note. All right. So our app is coming alive. There's a couple more major functionality things that we need. We need to add in the ability to create a note and have that automatically appear on the home screen too. And then we need the ability to edit the note. And then we need the ability to delete a note. But before we do that, I want to add in some icons and some more styling to make this look more like a real app, just because I think it's fun to see the app look like a real app before we start adding in some of the functionality. Before I do that, in create a note, there's no button styling. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Note, there's no button styling. I'm going to delete that too. And then here in the all notes section, instead of calling this a button, in the style, I'm going to call this note cont, because this is like the container of the note. And I'm going to try out, I'm going to come back to my, I'm going to exit out of this. I'm going to come back to the, let's see here. Where is it? Okay. The shadow generator. And let's see here. What would look good for a note? I think that looks pretty good. A 4. I'm going to go to 4. I'll first make sure to add a background color of white. And then I'll do this. I'm going to go ahead and take out border width. Take out border width from the note container. I'm going to do that. 4 looks pretty good. I want to add a border radius to the corners. So what I'm going to say, before I move on, I am so sorry. So I actually think I want a bit of a border. So for this global footer, I put the border width at 75 and the top color at D8, D8, D8. I think I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna say border width, and this will just be for all borders. I'm gonna say 1. Well, actually, I'm gonna change it to 0.05, so it matches the footer. And then I'll say border color. I'll just, from now on, I'll use this D8, D8, D8 color for lines. Okay, yeah, that definitely looks better, I think. And then under here, we can add border radius. And I sometimes like 6. I'm torn always between like 6 and 3. 3 is less of a radius, and I might like that the best. But 6 is a little bit more of a radius, and it all depends on what you want, what kind of style you want. Kind of more of a radius is usually kind of more fun feel to it, whereas like a less of a radius is more of like a professional feel to it. I think I'm gonna try 6, and then if you really want to go crazy, you could say like 12, and it would be really big, or 8. I think I'm gonna stick with 6. I think, well, no, I like 8. I'm gonna officially, we're gonna go with 8. That's what I'm gonna stick with. And I want these to look more like notes, not like a, well, actually, never mind. Okay, I'm so sorry. So eventually what we're going to do is we're gonna be able to rate these on best idea at the top, worst idea at the bottom. So I am thinking I might actually keep it like this, and then just get rid of some of the space. get rid of some of the margin. So I'll change this to be margin top. And it'll probably stretch the width, okay? Or maybe I'll do it this way. So margin 20 everywhere. And then down here, I could just say margin bottom 0 to get rid of the margin bottom. I'm thinking though, I might want to do this a little backwards. I think I'm going to say margin top 0. And what I'm going to do instead is in the body, I'm going to actually say padding top 20, if that's what I like. Okay. The reason I'm saying this is because we're going to change this to be a scrollable screen. And if there's no margin bottom, there's sometimes an issue where there will be no space at the bottom. So I want to make the margin be bottom so that there is space. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a little bit. Okay. I think 20 I'm going to test out for these. I'm going to say instead 15. See what that looks like. That looks better. And then 10. Okay. And obviously all these are just what you think looks best. But I'm trying to see what I like the best. Okay, I'm leaning more toward 15. So I'm just going to say 15, but I'm going to stick with this being 20. I might even change this to 30 just to see what that looks like. I think I like 20 better. Okay. All right, I'm going to stick it like that. Let's see what it looks like when I click on it now. So you'll notice touchable opacity already kind of has that cool effect where it highlights what you click on. So that's pretty cool. And then let's go ahead and add in some icons for the footer. We'll maybe find an icon for like a home and then an icon for create. And so let's go to our footer. And your next page that you'll want to go to, there is, let's see. Have it up here somewhere. Okay, I like to use React Native vector icons. I have this link in the description below. You can come here and say npm install save React Native vector icons. Come to your terminal, install React Native vector icons. Okay, and then you can come back here to see how to use it. And we'll just go down and look at the code. You don't have to worry about all this random stuff because Expo's already got it worked out for you. So this is what we're looking for. Okay, import icon from React Native vector icon / font awesome. We might not use font awesome, but I'll just go ahead and import it that way and then show you how it works. Okay, so you can import it that way. And then this is what your icon will look like. You can say const my icon like that, or if you would like, you can just go ahead and copy this icon part right here. Just copy that. Come back to your code. And where this says all notes, I'm going to just replace that completely with this. And with these icons, you can update the size by based on pixels this way. Or you can, and you can also update the color. So those are the two things you can do with it. And what I'm gonna switch this to is home. There's probably something for home. Okay, Before I go on, this will be in the description below too, but there's this cool, you can just look up React Native vector icon directory, go to that, and then you can search for what you want up here. Say we want home. And say I want a different home. You'll notice these are all the different ones with the name home in them. So I'm going to look through the different home options. Currently, we're using Font Awesome. Their home. I want to see if I like a different one. If there's any other homes I really like. And I think I like the ant design one the best. So you can copy ant design. I've already got home written here. These names underneath is what you would use. So for example, let me just show you. So where's Font Awesome? Okay, so I'll just, so you can see how this works. Say tachometer. I don't know why that has anything to do with home. I'll paste that there and you'll see it'll switch to tachometer. I'm going to switch this back to home. What I want to change is the library or directory. Instead of Font Awesome, I want to use ant design. And so then I would come up here to Font Awesome and just change that to ant design. And it switches it to that for me. And I want to switch the color to be just black for now. And let me see how I like that. I think I might want to make it a little bit gray. So let me actually, instead of this, I'm gonna look up color calculator. And I'll just pick this first one here. All right. So this is pretty okay. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, so this is showing me, I'll have this in the description below too. This is showing me the different options. I don't know that I quite want it all the way black, but I still want it pretty dark. So maybe what was D8, D8? So we have been using D8, D8, D8. And you know, maybe we could just try that out, see what that looks like. D8, D8, D8. Yeah, that's too bright. But I put that in and let's just try to make it a bit darker. Instead of that, we'll say like, let's try 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, see what that looks like. Oops. All right, I think that looks better. We'll just stick with that for now. All right, and then I'll go ahead and copy this icon thing, put it here for create a note. I'm gonna come back to our directory and look up create. Okay, and there's that. So we are creating a note. So something with a pin kind of looks good. I might like a plus button though. Let me try to look up plus. So we could do something like a plus circle or a plus square. Let's see. Let me try saying add. Okay. Maybe something like this would look better because we're adding a note. But let's see here, and we're using ant design. Something here is if you don't want to use, if you want another icon, you could do it this way and just say icon 2. And then you can change the directory you're using. And let's just, we'll test that out real fast. Let me see if I can find something I like for adding a note. We want to add a note. Let's see here. Okay, were we? Let's see. Plus was the other option. Okay, this one looks kind of like you're adding a note, file plus. So let me see though. Um, hmm. Uh, so I think maybe I like that one the best so far. And just one more time, look up add. There's also an add file. And there was create. That was the other potential. Create. There's something that looks like you're creating a button, sort of like you're creating a note. I think maybe seeing to match kind of the style, maybe this create outline. Let's just see what that looks like. I'm not sure that I like it just yet, but we'll try it out. So I'm going to switch this to ion icons. And then I'm going to try this one actually, medium create outline. Put that there. Yeah, I think that looks good. And you can pick which ones you want. I'll just go ahead for now. I'll stick with that. And you'll see it kind of goes back and forth. It's pretty cool. And home, I might actually, instead of home, I think I'm going to look up notes and see if there's anything related to notes. Like maybe a stack of notes. Note. We don't want to use Evernote because that's somebody else's thing. But let's see here. Note. I want like a stack of notes. Maybe I could look up paper. Note multiple. Maybe this will look better. Let's just try that. Let's see here. Is there an outline? There is. Note multiple outline. Okay. Let's just try this out. So I'm going to change out ant design. And I'm going to come here to note multiple outline. Switch home to that. Don't know that I really like it yet, but let me just look just a bit more. There's a notebook. That's kind of cool. Notebook, maybe. Let me see what that looks like. Maybe I like that the best. Let's try that. Note. I'm going to switch this to notebook. And then maybe I can switch this to note. Take off the 2. Change this to note. See what that looks like. I don't know. I don't know what I like. This is like, for me, the hardest part of development. Well, it can take the longest time because you can just be going back so often. I don't like that. What did I have it at? Let's see again. I'm just redoing everything. Don't know that I like it. Okay, I think I still like this the best. Oops, what's going on? Go away. I don't know what's going on here. I'm just trying to click. I don't want to do that. Okay. Oh, okay, there we go. Go away. There we go. Okay. Let's see here. So I'm gonna undo one more time. I think I still like this the best for create. And then for notes, I still want something different. I'm not sure what I want yet. Maybe I can say notebook and maybe other people have a notebook that I like better. Let's see here. Maybe I would like this if it was smaller. Bigger. I don't like it. I still don't like it. Notebook. Another one, maybe I could look up papers. This can, or paper. Sometimes there's like a stack of papers or something that could look like a stack of notes. I am gonna have to give up on this pretty soon, but let me look up stack. So like a stack of notes. Let's see. Maybe this stack. I wish this were live and I could just talk to you guys and be like, what do you want? What do you think looks the best? Because I don't know. Maybe we'll do a live. If you want, by the way, if you'd like a live tutorial one day, just let me know in the comments below. And I'd love to do a live tutorial, talk to you guys while we're coding. Okay, so I don't know what to do. I guess for now, I'll just leave it like that. And for now, this will mean like the notebook. That'll mean create a note. Let me just one last time look up notes, see if there was, or note, and see if there was something we liked again. And if not, I'm just going to move on because this is taking too long. Okay. All right. Well, I'll just stick with the notebook. Okay, that makes sense though. So this is the notebook. This is where you go to create your notes. Yeah, so we'll stick with that for now. So the last place we might want an icon would maybe be for the startup notes, which actually, yeah, let's just go ahead and do it. Note, see if there's a good icon here for a note. And if not, so here's one of the places I go sometimes to look up just basic basic logos that are open source. It's called the Noun Project. I'll put this in the description below too. These are all open source, and so I'm gonna just look up notes, since this is about notes, and see if there's anything that's kind of cool on here that I could use as a logo for my startup notes app. I'm gonna say just try note. Let's see if there's anything we like. I could be doing this all day. I'm just gonna need to pick something. That kind of looks too similar, I think, but it's kind of cool. Let's see here. Okay, here, I'm gonna go with this one. This one kind of looks cool. Okay, I'm gonna say get this icon. I don't want to pay for it, so I'm gonna just say basic download, and download it. And so if you download it this way, you just have to say who it's from. And so I'm gonna leave in this little created by Gregory Kresnar, and I'll go ahead and download the PNG. Okay, and I'm gonna drag this PNG to the desktop. I'm gonna rename this to say logo. because this will be my logo. And the great thing about a PNG is usually the backgrounds are transparent. But anyway, all right, I'm going to come back here. And this is something else I like to do. There's an assets folder in the root of your project, but I like to kind of leave this untouched because this is kind of like your app icon, your fav icon, if you're using this for a website, splash stuff. So what I like to do is inside of the source folder, I kind of like to keep the app in the source folder. I like to create another folder. I'll call it assets here. And within there, I'll create another folder called images. And this is where I like to keep my images for the app. I'm going to call this logo. And then in our header, I'm going to put this to the left of startup notes. So I'm going to need to switch this to be flex direction row. So I can do that instead of it being left to right. And then I'll come back here. Well, actually, so we're going to be importing an image. So let me just look up how to do that real fast. One of the things as a developer, you think you'll just completely remember everything all the time, but it doesn't happen. You end up Googling the most basic things, even after you've been coding for a long time. So I'm just going to say images, React Native. And this will show you how to import an image. So I'm going to import image from React Native in my header. So I'll do it that way. And then it says, this is how you would import your image. There needs to be a source. And we're going to use require to get it. And so let's just go ahead and do that. So here, I'm going to paste that here. I'm going to just say the style logo. We'll add some styling in a second. But you can just find this like you would any other photo. So I'm going to say .. go down to assets, go to images, and then a lot of times it doesn't show, so you just have to actually type it out. Say PNG. And we may need to add in, I think we'll need to add in a height and a width to the logo, or it might not show up properly. So yeah, so you see, if I do not add a height and a width, it's just going to show the entire size of the logo, and it's not going to look good. So instead, I'm going to say logo. I'm just going to give it a height. So maybe a height of 30. See what that looks like. And I'm going to take out, let's just see what that looks like. Okay. And then you should also give it a width. I'm going to say width of 30. See what that looks like. All right. So it looks like for this one, let's see here. Okay. So the height should probably be a bit. I'm wanting to see, is this worth paying for? So I think what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to pay for this logo so I can take out the numbers or the text at the bottom. All right, so I just paid for this and I like it better already. So it doesn't have the text at the bottom. What I'm going to do now is I'm coming back to my header. And I did notice, so you do see, even with a background color, there's that shadow at the top. The way I'm going to fix that is come back here to notes. Instead of the padding top being now a part of the screen, now that there's a body, here, so actually take that out. So anyway, so now instead of putting this on the screen, I'm going to actually put it inside of the header so that this will stretch to the height of the screen. So I'm just gonna cut this out here. And I don't think I'm using constants anymore, but I'll change that in a second. So I'll come to global header. I'll put that here in the header cont for header container. Then I'll come here and get this constants. Come back over here, put this here. This should fix everything. Yeah, there we go. All right, so now there's not that that line at the top. Everything looks fine. For the logo, I think that's a pretty good size for the logo. What I'm gonna do is, instead of justify center, I'm gonna say space between, so that it stretches the entire width. Okay, and then I'm going to add some padding up here. I'll just say, I'll go padding left, padding right. And I usually like for this to give a percentage so that it looks good on any screen. So I'm gonna say, I usually like the padding to be like 5% on both sides. So I'll say padding left 5%, padding right 5%. Okay, and I'm going to see what this looks like. Okay, so now that I've actually done this, I'm going to copy this padding left, padding right. I'm going to make that be the same in this all notes. Instead of saying for the notes having margin 15 everywhere, I'm actually just going to say margin bottom 15, let that stretch all the way out. And then what I'm going to do is come to the body and say padding left 5, so that everything kind of lines up perfectly. Which I'm questioning myself again. I might want to try 2.5 for the notes, because maybe that looks a little bit better. Yeah, I think I kind of like that a little bit better as of right now. So have the content be a bit wider, but the header content be a little bit further together. I think that looks fine for now. And I'm going to come back to this header. I believe image has an on press event already built into it. I'm going to try that out real fast. But if it does, I can just say on press. If this does not work, then I'm going to have to wrap this inside of a view or a touchable opacity, something like that. But let's just test it out, see if it works. And I'll say this should take us to the all notes page. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna refresh the app. It's not acting right. Okay. All right, so I do not know why this is acting this way. Let me refresh one more time. The footers are not working for some reason. I'm wondering if this is another one of those things where I'm going to completely shut down the app completely and restart it. Okay. It's frozen again. So if it freezes like that, just go ahead and Control C to shut down your expo server. And then just say expo start again. I don't know why it does that sometimes, but it does. And then I'm going to click run on Android emulator. It could be because I have a lot of programs running at the same time. So hopefully this won't happen to you, but let's see if that works now. Okay. Well, all right. So I'm going to need to wrap this. So there's not an on press event for image. So I'm actually going to wrap this inside of a touchable opacity. And since I've already made one for the footer, I'm actually gonna just copy this. I'm gonna come over to the footer, copy this all notes one, that there. I'll put the image inside of this. Okay. And I'll go ahead and take that out. And now this should work. Oh, I think I was thinking about icons because I'm pretty sure icons have an on press event. Let me just test that out to see if I'm right. We'll see. Let me refresh. Let's see if icons have them built in, which they do. Okay, so that's what I was thinking of. You can just put the on press event in the icon, which I guess I'll just go ahead and do that to clean this up a bit. I'll take out the touchable opacity. And I'll put this, so this is in the global footer. I'll go ahead and just put this inside of the icon to clean this up a little bit because icons have on press events built into them. So let me just verify. I'm going to refresh the app. I'm going to test them out. All right. And it worked. Okay, I probably did not finish that. Did I say something wrong? What am I doing? Oh, okay. So probably what has happened is I probably did not pass down navigation to the header. I'm pretty sure that's probably what I did. Yep, that's what I did. Okay, so I'm going to come back here and take this that I passed down to the footer. I'm going to go ahead and pass that down to the global header on all three of these screens, because you have to pass down navigation to any component within a component for that to work. Let's see here. Just going to test all this out now. Okay, it's working. All right, so there we go. Starting to come together. And now let's go back to the global header. Just for now, I might just put, I'm thinking. So what I think I'm gonna end up doing is having a sign up page where you can sign up to create an account so that your data can be saved. What I'm going to do is I want to have an icon here that looks like a sign up icon. So I'm going to come back here to the footer. I'll copy this icon import. I'll come to the global header, import it there, and then I'll come here and just take this icon here. I'll put that here. And let's just make this a bit longer so we can see it. And then I'm going to come back to my my directory and look up user so that there can be something like this. Usually looks good. The user can know to click on it. Let's see if I can find anything a bit different. Okay, I think I like the font awesome one. So I'm going to use this user circle O. I think either this one or that one. I think I like this one better. So I'll go ahead and okay, I'll come here. I'll paste that there, and then I'll switch this to font awesome. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I like that. The color, I might want to brighten it up just a little bit. But I'm not sure. So let me go back to this color calculator that I pulled up. If I can find it. Okay. And let's see here. Oops. Let's make it a bit brighter. I don't know that I like this color calculator very much, but it's the first one I clicked on. There's other better ones that you can get though. So I'm gonna try A, B, A, B, A, B, A. Let's see what that looks like. A, B, A, B, A, B. Okay, yeah. That's too bright, too bright. I want it a bit darker. So let's see what, I'm gonna just try 999. Okay, that's better. Trying to see, what did I do for the footer? I did 141414. Maybe 1414 would be better, just to match. For now, I think it's too bright though, because it's not an outline. Let me keep it like that and then look for an outline to kind of just match the styling. So instead of it being darkened, kind of look for an outlined version, something like this one, but it's too, I don't like it. Let's see. Well, maybe I'll just use this one and see what that looks like. Okay. And then I'll switch this to say user. Maybe that'll look better. All right, that looks better. I'll switch this to 30. Maybe 35. That looks okay. I don't know that I like it very much, but might switch this later. 40 looks pretty good. I don't know. I kind of like it. I guess it kind of looks a little cartoony, sort of like that. Okay, and this gets me to one of the next styling related thing. So I want to change the text to have its own styling instead of just being generic. So to do that, there's something called Expo Google Fonts. I don't know that I want to use Open Sans. Let me see here how they have you install this. So this is kind of a generic font family. But I don't know that I like Open Sans. So let's see, what other options are there? Expo Google Fonts. So there's a fonts page. So what did it say? Okay, this package lets you use the Open Sans font. Let me see if I can just Google or search the NPM for this. Okay, Roboto is usually pretty good. So you can go to npmjs.com and just look up the different Google fonts that are available. Don't know which one I like the best, but let me see. Noto Sans. I wonder what that looks like. I'm wondering if that's sort of like a note. But let's see. Open this up one more time. So that's what Roboto looks like. Kind of like Fredoka, maybe. Let me see if they have that. Fredoka. Let me see. I'll just go. What is it? Fred. Oh man, I just exited out. Hold on. Fredoka. Probably not. Oh, they do. There we go. Let's see. So I guess maybe you can look through the different fonts available. And I'll just go with Fredoka 1 for now. We'll use this. And it just contains one style. So anyway, let's just go ahead and use it, see what it looks like. So to do this, expo install these things. So let's go ahead and expo install these. Come back over here to your terminal, expo install. And the place where we're going to load our fonts, I'll sometimes either load it in the app.js or app state, whatever kind of makes sense to you. Sometimes I like to just keep push notifications in app.js, which we're about to do push notifications, by the way. But I think I'll go ahead and just add it to app state, because this is sort of like the place where we want to keep our state. It's sort of like state. Okay, so it installed it already. Then it says, come down here to, we need to import app loading and also import these things here, use fonts, Fredoka 1. We need to import all of that. So I'm going to come back here to my app state. I'll import that there. And then it says down here, you want to use this fonts loaded function. So just copy this. And we'll come here. I'll put this underneath app state just to kind of keep it separate. Okay, you can put that there, and then, oops. We can put this if the fonts have not loaded yet. We want to return app loading, which is like an app loading icon. Else we want to return app navigation. So that's what we're going to do. We'll get this, move this up here. Okay. And I think we're good with that. Let me see. So I'm not sure why. Okay. Well, they have the font size predefined. We don't have to do that. We can actually do that later on. So I'm not going to worry about this. But now, anytime we want to use this, we can say font family this. So let's just go ahead and test it out, see if we like it. I'm going to come back here, go to global header. Here, I'm going to say style. Since this is the only text here, I'll just say styles.text. And come down here, say text. All right, let's see. Oops. Let's see if we like. So say font family. That, yeah, that looks kind of cool. I wish there were more options. Usually there are more options than just one. But I mean, for now, that looks pretty good. You have just finished the preview of a longer Udemy course. Hopefully in this preview that you're probably watching on YouTube, you've learned enough to be a React Native developer. The goal was, even in the preview, I wanted to give you enough knowledge to become a React Native developer. You ought to know enough at this point to be a React Native developer. If you'd like to finish out the full Udemy course, this is actually a Udemy course. If you'd like to finish out the course, there's a link in the description below that goes to this course. By the end of the course, we'll finish this app, we'll finish designing it, making it functional, and you'll receive a certificate of completion upon completing the course. So if you'd like to finish this course, I encourage you to click the Udemy course link in the description below. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please like this video. And if you'd like to see more videos about React Native, Flutter, things like that, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and we'll see you next time.